So I've helped runners get faster at the 1.5 mile run without running more. See, most people think that the only way to improve for a 1.5 mile run test is more mileage. So trying to get more volume throughout the week, more days of running, all right? So more frequent running, more suffering. And that belief is exactly why people plateau. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through how strength training actually improves your 1.5 mile run time, how to do it correctly, and how to avoid mistakes that slow runners down. See, why most runners get stuck. Common myth is if I want to run faster, I just need to run more, right? Duh, sounds like common sense. When in reality, many runners already, if you're training to run, maybe you're not a natural runner, right? You're like trying to, train to pass a fitness test of some sort, whether it's for law enforcement or a firefighter, etc. Many folks who are training for that, right? When you start training, you start building up your aerobic fitness, right? Obviously, if you're not training at all whatsoever, get off the couch and start training. But once you get past to the beginner phases where you could run like a 12-minute per mile pace, right? What you don't have is the strength, the power, the efficiency. See, what I see in the real world, runners plateau, fitness tests stall, right? They're not able to improve their times, injuries creep in, and they blame age, genetics, lack of motivation, like, oh, I'm not a natural born runner, when in reality, they're just missing strength training. And that's quality strength training. Also, I have a free course in community with free training plans. So if you want those free training plans, whether it's strength, running for the 1.5 mile or 2 mile run or different types of fitness events or running events, join my free school and course and community. I'll put the link here in the description. So why strength training works, even if you run less. So there's actually research showing that you can reduce your running volume by 30% and replace it with strength and explosive training and still improve your run time. And this study was done on 5K runners. 5K is a 3 mile, essentially, 3 mile run. And they were to improve that with doing explosive strength training, which helped improve their running economy, their muscle power, and their performance, their race performance. So their finish times improved. They got faster. But honestly, I've seen this over and over outside the lab with tactical athletes, recreational runners, and people just preparing to pass a fitness test for various organizations. So most people do strength training the wrong way. Most runners fall into one of two traps. Either they don't do it at all. So most folks don't even do strength training. So that's actually the biggest trap, not doing any strength training. Don't be in that camp. The other camp is doing too light, too many reps, right? You're picking up the 2-pound pink dumbbells, doing high reps, right? Endless circuits, a high rep burn. It's more endurance, more of cardio. It looks more like cardio than strength. There's a time and place, sure, you can do high rep. Is typically what they do in group fitness classes or like these boot camp style classes at a gym. You can do that. The problem is it's just one aspect of strength. It's usually more endurance, cardio, like endurance strength endurance versus true heavy or explosive. The other thing, most people never train explosive strength, right? So they don't work on the speed strength, no power or explosive type of lifting, right? And there's no carryover to running. So to run faster, you need essentially 3 different types of strength work, right? And people are like, wait, there's different types of strength work. Yes, there's different types of strength training. So the 3 types of strength work that I recommend for a faster run time, again, if you train for 1.5 mile run, this is great. Or even other distances, this applies as well. Heavy lifting, right? Maximal strength, think 3 rep max, 5 rep max. If you are into the sport of powerlifting, you might be familiar with singles, which is doing a 1 rep max, but you typically don't do that unless you're a power lifter or you're extremely advanced with lifting, right? If you're more of a beginner, intermediate, like 90% of people can improve with just working on the 3 rep max or 5 rep max when it comes to heavy lifting. You warm up, of course, you do your warm up sets and you work up to that 5 rep or 3 rep max or triple, right? And when you're doing the heavy lifting, you don't do it for all the muscle groups. You only do it for like main lifts. Think of like the squat or the deadlift, right? You also do this for the upper body for the bench press. And doing this once a week or even 2 times a week is plenty. You don't have to do lifting every single day of the week to help you improve your running. All right. Strength training in general 3 times a week is fine. It's like the sweet spot 3 times a week, especially if you're doing it correctly. So why it matters? Stronger legs, fewer strides at the same place, and less energy cost per step. And another thing is the reason you're not doing this type of style of heavy lifting every day of the week is just going to be too taxing on the body. You're going to start to burn out. It could cause overuse injuries. You want some time to recovery. Recovery is also important for lifting as well. Don't think you're a Superman or Superwoman. And then we got speed lifting dynamic, right? This is where you're doing 1 or twice a week. You're doing more dynamic speed lifting. You're usually using a lighter load. Think about like 50% of your 1 rep max or 3 rep max or so. Light, fast, and explosive. Examples are the speed squat, speed deadlift, box squats, right? You could do this with bands. You could do this with chains. You could do it with a kettlebell, barbell. There's so many different variations. But you're exploding up fast, doing fast type of movements, which is going to improve your force production and directly transfers to running speed. The other type of exercise I recommend is jump training or plyometrics. You're like, wait, that's very similar to the dynamic, kind of, but you're actually even moving faster when you're doing the jump training. So with the jump training, you're moving extremely, it's like less than a second, right? You're doing a jump squat, box jump, a depth drop, bounding, right? You're just jumping like a single leg hops. This type of jump training could be very important for developing tendon strength, speed, power. Try to aim for about 40 jumps per session. If you're a complete beginner, maybe start with just 10 or 15. Maybe you do 3 by 5 to get to 15 reps. It could be the warm up between sets, right? You could do this as a short circuit. So you could do this, you warm up for your run workout, warm up for your lifting workout, or you could do this in between lifting sessions. Here's like an example where you would do like a circuit. So you might do jump squats. Right, you just jump in place when you squat. Maybe you do 15 reps, and then you go right to split squats or lunges, 10 reps per leg. You could add weights if you're more advanced. Then maybe you do side plank with hip abduction, 10 or 30 reps, and then do the circuit 2 or 3 rounds. Right, and that's like an explosive strength circuit that you could do. Right, and then the circuit's pretty short too; it doesn't even take too long. You then combine it with the heavy lifting, so you could have the heavy and the explosive training on the same day. That way, you don't have to like go to the gym or have separate days. And you can have separate days too if you prefer, but just showing you how you can be time efficient as well. So monitor the intensity, like how heavy is heavy, right? So use the RPE scale. That's that 0 to 10 scale. 0, you're pretty much doing nothing. You're sitting on the couch watching TV, while like a 2 or 3 might be you going for a light walk. But when you're doing strength training, most of the strength training should live around 4 to 6, right? Moderate to heavy. And then heavy days, try to go for the 7 to 8 or even 9 for those when you're doing like the triple, the 3 rep max or the 5 rep max on the squat or the deadlift. And remember, there's different variations and things like that. If you need more guidance, we'll talk about that in a bit. So weak links to fix. Most folks, especially trying to get into running, struggle with single leg strength, the posterior chain strength, and then the hip or core stability. So you want to train things like exercise like the step-ups, split squats, in addition to what we talked about the heavy training, but this is the weak link training. You want to train those weak links. The split squat, single leg calf raises. You can do toe raises, hip abductors, hip external rotators, right? This is like the bridge, clamshells. You can do them weighted. You can do them on machines. Core strength, right? Planks, side planks, bird dogs. This is work on the trunk endurance. Right, higher reps are fine here. You can even do 30 reps, 50 reps, because these are weak links that you're really trying to strengthen. And so then how do you structure this? There's only how many days in the week? Do you want me to run every day of the week? No. I'm actually more of a fan of running less, right? Just doing 3 days a week of running. So if you're not familiar with my other work, I typically recommend 1 day of speed work, a day of tempo, right? Day 2 would be tempo or a steady state run. And day 3 would be a long run. So speed work might be repeat 400-meter intervals. So maybe you do 6 by 400-meter repeats or 400 meters a quarter mile. So essentially doing that. Day 2, that may be a separate day, of course. Try to have a rest day in between days. Don't do them back to back to back. Like maybe you do Monday speed work. Wednesday, you might do a tempo run. Tempo run is just more of a steady state work, like moderate effort. If we use that RPE scale, comfortably hard, you're doing it maybe for 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And then day 3, maybe do that on a Saturday or Sunday, the long run. Usually you want to do the long run about 2 to 3 times the test distance. If you're more advanced, you can even do beyond that too, but this is more for beginner intermediate. So you might do a 3-mile long run if you consider 3 miles long for you. If it's not, if 3 miles is easy, you could just as easily do a 5-mile or 6-mile long run. If that's still easy, you could do a 9-mile long run. But let's not get carried away. For most folks who are beginners who are having a hard time just doing the 1.5-mile run, you could get away with a 3 to 5 mile long run once a week. And as you get more fit, obviously you can increase the distance of the long run. All right, but you don't also have to go overboard either. So what happens when you do this? When runners combine smart strength training, targeted running, recovery mobility, they see faster 1.5-mile run times, less joint pain, better durability, and more confidence on test day. And if you need additional support, I do offer one-to-one coaching. I'm a run coach and physical therapist, and I'm also a former U.S. Marine, so I've experienced passing a fitness test. When I was in the Marines, I had to pass like a 3 mile run test. So if you're open to work with me, you can to help you get faster run times, or if you're dealing with pain or injury, help you get pain free so you can train properly and get a plan customized for your specific situation. You can apply to book a free consult call. I'll put the link in the description. So lessons learned, running more isn't always the answer. Strength training makes runners faster when done right, and power and strength plus smart running equals results.